We all like have our the reason why we're doing it and like how we want it to look and like the inspiration behind it and all that stuff. But like I feel like for a lot of artists, sometimes it can be hard to translate that onto paper or onto like visually translate that visually or like communicate that visually. So I think like with Sebastian, the way that he kind of has it so clearly, it's kind of it's like not only how do I say this, like because he's been doing it for so long, so he's really good at it, but also I think it's his subject matter that kind of also pushes him, because he can't, with that kind of subject matter, like, it's crucial that you communicate it clearly, otherwise it's just going to look messy. So.
And it seems really clear, from his work, that subject matter is deeply personal to him, and that was something that you all talked about, really when you're dwelling in, issues or ideas or topics, that really feeling passionate about or it's speaking to you in some way, how important that really is. Okay. All right, those are all great reflections. Thank you all for sharing. That's helping us all kind of think this through. All right, well, thank you.
We'll go next.
Okay, great.
So for our big idea one, okay, so I wrote this. Okay, I'm just gonna read it because it's
yeah, it's okay if you want to just read it.
Its focus on the varying cultures, specifically cultures unaffected by the modern age, lends a human element to his work, and this is the part that interests me the most. I would like to do work like this, focusing on humanity in such a pristine way, because I really like his focus on, like, he really, like, the emotion in all his photos, especially the ones that contain people, is so clear and so raw for some of them, and I think, like, I really didn't know what was my big ideas, but like I was just thinking like I'd really like to do like a photo series to folk that kind of has that same element, the same like human emotion element to it as well. See insights. So he has recurring themes of darkness versus lightness, because we notice the contrast in a lot of his work, which bring his pieces more to life and brings more emotion to his pieces. And I kind of piggybacked off that because Ashari had written the top. And I said, the high contrast present in each photo lends an almost otherworldly air to the pieces, because they look so surreal when you look at them. I think because the contrast is so high in his composition, he frames the pictures just like perfectly, and it looks as though they were almost manipulated in Photoshop, but they weren't. Wonder/questions. Why does the artist evoke such raw emotions through his pieces? And I would say, how does he do that? That's what I was gonna ask. And then my question was, how does Sebastian decide which pictures to take and how to compose them? And how does he find these people in these places?
Those are really interesting questions. What are you all thinking about that? Responses or thoughts?
His work is really pretty when it's black and white. I think like a lot of it, I don't know. Oh my gosh.
Okay. I was struck by two things that you said with the big ideas. The idea, I like the way he does things, that rawness and that pristine kind of feel about it. Those are that's like interesting juxtaposition or combination, of ideas. Thinking about his work, and that struck me as well. I mean, that would be neat if you could have a conversation with him, maybe to ask him a little bit more.
Are we gonna have a conversation?
If we did.
I got really. I was like.
But we watched it.
I don't know with him, but maybe we might try some of these other artists. So we'll see what we can finagle. I'll leave it at that for now. I've got a little homework to do. So okay. What else?
Well, I was gonna say, we watched an interview with him and he talked about a lot of this stuff. Like, I think to me, the way that he takes the photos, and I think, in a way, what struck me the most was the respect he has for the people whose photos he took. It almost seemed to he seemed to kind of be like in reverence or reverent of them. Like, his photos are so deliberate because, you know, like he said in the interview, he stays with them for like I don't know how long. I feel like he stays with them for months or weeks before he actually takes the photo, which is where I got where I started thinking, like, how does he even decide like how to photograph it or what to take or what elements or what things to capture. But yeah, I mean, he talked a lot about how he wanted to capture like the side or like a version of Earth that wasn't what we're used to. And so I think that's how, or why I feel like the pristine like thing I said. And then also I think one of the other things over there I wrote down, it's almost like he considers these people and these places sacred.
And I noticed in the ride around yesterday there was, I know, at least one comment somebody talked about, you know, the rest of the world might look at them as maybe lesser because they're not, you know, technologically advanced or like a quote first world country. But there was a statement about how, you know, his photography brings out the importance of like every group of people has their humanity. And that kind of goes back, I know, the theme of unity and, you know, trying to feel a sense of connectedness to people that initially we think are very different from us and that otherness, but then finding maybe there's not as much difference as we think. So that's, I think, interesting about his work.
Yeah, I find his work very unifying no matter what his subject matter is. It's all like very much like one part of one thing. Even though it's so many different places and things he's photographing, it all, I think, has like the central idea about like preservation.
Oh, that's a cute. Let's hold on to that word. Think about that, preservation. Okay, great. Okay, do y'all want to go next? Thank you.
For our big ideas, we wrote down the environment, third world countries, and intention before aesthetics. So like talking about what Valerie said, how he was living in the environments like weeks before he even chose what to take photographs of. And we also wrote down the words pristine, pure, and raw. I think that's a really important aspect of his work. And also, a true artist does not need to explain his or her intention. I saw that a lot when I was walking around the tables.
I did too.
How, like, the piece almost speaks for itself, and there really isn't any description that is required for us to feel the kind of emotions and what he intended to provoke. And like for the insights, we mostly talked about like the technical strategy, so like contrast, composition, variation, confidence in execution, and how he was able to really have like a passion and like a deep care about the subject matter, and how he wanted to expose the audience to the rare sights and to have them feel the raw emotions. And then for our questions, we had like more than two, but it was, how does he achieve such vivid, technically strong pieces? Have his pieces influence the world at all? How do his pieces impact him? And how does he choose where to go? And like, how does he know about the places he goes to?
Those are great questions. And I think it's interesting if we're seeing some common threads kind of in some of your reactions with your ideas and insights. And it may or may not be interesting as we move forward, whether some of you choose to further investigate him or another artist, and we look at their work and our own that we're creating to see, you know, is there anything in our own work or the work of other artists that tie back maybe into some of those big ideas or connections.
I think what I found really interesting about what they said was when he said a true artist does not need to explain his or her intention. I think the thing about intention, like I was saying before, but like I think a piece or like a photo or a work or whatever with release, I think the difference between a weak piece and a really strong piece with strong intention is like I feel like the weaker piece kind of requires explaining, whereas the stronger piece almost inspires questions. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
that's interesting.
Like, if his work wasn't as strong as it would require explanations. Like, okay, well, why are you photographing this? You know, like, what are the